Hi, I'm LynnAnn Covell, fitness director, life coach, personal trainer here at Green Mountain at Fox Run. And yes, we have people that come all the time at different fitness levels. So we strive to really help everybody feel comfortable in each class. Sometimes, like I said, you need a modification. So let's say I've got a knee problem, a foot problem, a low back problem, whatever that problem is. Let's say I can't go down to the floor and everybody else is on the floor and they're doing an inner thigh lift or they're doing outer hip and thigh work. I can't go to the floor. What can I do? Let's start with your inner thigh. You can get a small playground ball from wherever your store is. Get a small ball, scoot to the outer edge of a chair. You want to try to find a chair that doesn't have any arms. Once you do that, put your feet close together. They don't have to be touching. Put them close together and sit straight and tall. Put your hands right here to keep your upper torso upright. So what you're going to do is when the average person would be lifting, squeeze 2, 3, 4, release. Now, as you're squeezing here, you're working those inner thigh muscles. Now, if you wanted to stretch after something like that and you were still sitting in your chair, you'd bring your heels together, drop your knees to the outside, and get a passive inner thigh stretch. Now let's move on to outer hip and thigh. Again, we would be either standing or laying on our side. But again, if you've got an issue with your knee, your hip, your low back, and it's just simply too uncomfortable, we can take a Dynaband, and you want to try to get your Dynaband as flat as possible. Notice now, I'm trying to get my feet and knees together as closely as I can. Once I bring it over the top, it's held. I can hold it here with flat palms. So if you have arthritis in your hands, it doesn't matter. So once this is together, nice and snug, for outer hip and thigh work, and where am I talking about? From the knee right up to the hip. So I've got this nice and snug. I'm just going to push out, 2, 3, 4, and release. Push out, 2, 3, 4, and release. We're going to feel this all the way up that outer hip and thigh. Your body doesn't know the difference between one form of resistance and another. The form of resistance in this place is your body pushing out against this Dynaband. The form of resistance here for the inner thigh was your body pushing inward against a ball. And you want a ball that's a little bit squishy so it doesn't bother the knee at all. It's nice and comfortable. So now we'll move on to another movement. And this next movement that I want to talk about modifying is a chest press that we would do lying down on our back or on a flat floor or even on steps in a riser. So if I were to do this movement, I would be sitting on the bottom or low end of a step and riser. You would inhale, bringing the weights down, and you'd exhale up. Well, this is all fine and good a movement if you don't have a hard time getting up and down off the floor. But if you do, this next modification's for you. You can either use a red or a green spry tube. Okay? These resistance tubes or spry tubes, spry is a name, but you could use any resistance tube. When you get them, you could fold this right in half. As you do, you're going to tie a knot. Why? Because you need to tighten up the resistance a little bit. You're going to bring it right back here. Make a knot just like this. Now, if you're a person who uses heavy weights for the bigger muscle groups, like the chest group or pectorals that we're going to do, you would use your heavier weight. So when we look at the different gradients of spry tubes that you can get, typically green is middle of the road, yellow is really light for rehab of a shoulder, but the red is going to be equivalent to that heavy weight that you would have used for your chest press. So to give you a back view, you simply bring it around the back of you. Put your thumbs through only on the handles. You're going to bring that all the way up to the armpits. Notice I'm keeping my elbows up nice and high. You're going to push forward and arc slightly inward, inhale back, and exhale. So what we've done is simply change the plane of resistance. When we're lying down on our back, we're pushing that weight up against gravity. Here, we're pulling against our back and pushing forward. So the resistance is holding the band here and pushing forward, whereas before it's holding weights and coming up. So your resistance comes from the band, and the fact that you're pushing away from the body where your band is connected. Now, when you're done with that type of a movement, what you're going to want to do is give it a stretch. So if this was my movement, then here's my stretch. Nice big chest stretch, and then shake it out. So now we're going to go on to our next modification. So the next thing we want to modify is an abdominal crunch. So again, if I can't go down to the floor, I can do my abdominal crunch right in the chair. Okay? So I can sit with my, and I'm going to give you a side view here. I'm going to sit with my upper body in an upright position. I'm going to make sure that I'm a little bit out to the outer edge of the chair so my back isn't hitting into anything. I'm going to inhale here. When I exhale, I'm going to do a slight pelvic tilt, tightening the lower ab muscles, and bring my elbows down about 3 or 4 inches. Inhale up, exhale, contract in through the core, and back up. Exhale, down, hold, and bring it back up. Now you can go a step further. If you feel comfortable getting on a fit ball, you could sit on a fit ball and get even more work out of that. Because on that fit ball, I'm automatically working my core. The minute I put my finger out, I'm working my core. If I want to go a step further, I make sure that my feet are out in front of the ball, about 12 inches, roll forward until my knees are directly over my ankles to line up the body. Now I've got good spinal stabilization here by lining up the body. Again, the arms come here. Now notice, I'm going to inhale. When I exhale, now I can tuck that pelvis under. Curl, hold, and release. Exhale, contract in the abdominals and obliques, and release. So now, instead of just getting my abs, I'm getting rectus abdominis, inner and outer obliques, and erector spinae, and the multifidus in that low back. So inhale here, exhale, tuck that pelvis under, bring the arms down. Inhale, exhale, tuck and hold. So another great modification for you to do your work, whether you're seated or whether you're on the floor. It shouldn't matter. Your way is the way, your pace is the pace.